The Dassault Rafale is a French twin-engine, canard delta-wing, multirole fighter aircraft designed and built by Dassault Aviation. Equipped with a wide range of weapons, the Rafale is intended to perform air supremacy, interdiction, aerial reconnaissance, ground support, in-depth strike, anti-ship strike and nuclear deterrence missions. The Rafale is referred to as an omnirole aircraft by Dassault. In the late 1970s, the French Air Force and Navy were seeking to replace and consolidate their current fleets of aircraft, in order to reduce development costs and boost prospective sales. France entered into an arrangement with 4 other European nations to produce an agile multi-purpose fighter. Subsequent disagreements over work share and differing requirements led to France's pursuit of its own development program. Dassault built a technology demonstrator which first flew in July 1986 as part of an 8-year flight test program, paving the way for the go-ahead of the project. The Rafale is distinct from other European fighters of its era in that it is almost entirely built by one country, involving most of France's major defense contractors, such as Dassault, Thales and Safran. Many of the aircraft's avionics and features, such as direct voice input, the RBE-2AA active electronically scanned array radar and the optronic sector frontal infrared search and track sensor, were domestically developed and produced for the Rafale program. Originally scheduled to enter service in 1996, the Rafale suffered significant delays due to post-Cold War budget cuts and changes in priorities. The aircraft is available in 3 main variants: Rafale C single-seat land-based version, Rafale B twin-seat land-based version, and Rafale M single-seat carrier-based version. Introduced in 2001, the Rafale is being produced for both the French Air Force and for carrier-based operations in the French Navy. The Rafale has been marketed for export to several countries, and it has been selected for purchase by the Indian Air Force, the Egyptian Air Force, and the Qatar Air Force. The Rafale has been used in combat over Afghanistan, Libya, Mali, Iraq and Syria. Several upgrades to the weapons and avionics of the Rafale are planned to be introduced by 2018. Development origins in the mid-1970s. Both the French Air Force and Navy had requirements for a new generation of fighters to replace those in or about to enter service. Because the requirements were similar, and to reduce cost, both departments issued a common request for proposal. In 1975, the French Ministry of Aviation initiated studies for a new aircraft to complement the upcoming and smaller Dassault Mirage 2000, with each aircraft optimized for differing roles. In 1979, the French company Dassault joined the MBBAE European Collaborative Fighter project, which was renamed the European Combat Aircraft. The French company contributed the aerodynamic layout of a prospective twin-engine, single-seat fighter. However, the project collapsed in 1981 due to differing operational requirements of each partner country. In 1983, the Future European Fighter Aircraft program was initiated, bringing together Italy, Spain, West Germany, France and the United Kingdom to jointly develop a new fighter, although the latter 3 had their own aircraft developments. A number of factors led to the eventual split between France and the other 4 countries. Around 1984, France reiterated its requirement for a carrier-capable version and demanded a leading role. It also insisted on a swing-role fighter that was lighter than the design favored by the other 4 nations. West Germany, the UK and Italy opted out and established a new EFA program. In Turin on 2 August 1985, West Germany, the UK and Italy agreed to go ahead with the Eurofighter and confirmed that France, along with Spain, had chosen not to proceed as a member of the project. Despite pressure from France, Spain rejoined the Eurofighter project in early September 1985. The four-nation project eventually resulted in the development of the Eurofighter Typhoon design phase and prototype in France. The government proceeded with its own program. The French Ministry of Defense required an aircraft capable of air-to-air and air-to-ground, all-day and adverse weather operations. Unlike other contemporary European fighter projects that required some level of international collaboration and cost-sharing, France was the sole developer of the Rafale's airframe, avionics, propulsion system and armament, and as such the aircraft was to replace a multitude of aircraft in the French armed forces. The Rafale would perform roles previously filled by an assortment of specialized platforms, including the Jaguar, Mirage F1C, CR-CT, Mirage 2000C-5N and the ARME-Acute Delaire, and the F-8P Crusader, 8 Ondard IVP-M and Super 8 Ondard in the Aéronavale. During October to December 1978, prior to France's joining of the ECA, Dassault received contracts for the development of Project TAC-92. The following year, the National Office for Aviation Studies and Research began studying the possible configurations of the new fighter under the codename Rapace. By March 1980, the number of configurations had been narrowed down to 4, 2 of which had a combination of canards, delta wings and a single vertical tail fin. In October 1982, the French Ministry of Defense announced that Dassault would build a technology demonstrator named Aviation.Combat Experimental, in short ACX. France wanted to collaborate with West Germany and the UK on the project, but was prepared to build the ACX by itself. In 1984, the government decided to proceed with a combat variant of the ACX due to the conflicting technical criteria of the respective FIFA participant nations. The resultant Rafale A technology demonstrator was a large delta-winged fighter, with all-moving canards, embodying fly-by-wire flight control system. Construction of the demonstrator commenced in March 1984, even before a contract was signed with the DGA, France's defense procurement agency. The technology demonstrator was rolled out in December 1985 in Saint-Cloud, and took its maiden flight on 4 July 1986 from Istres-les-Tours Air Base in southern France. During the one-hour flight, the project's chief test pilot Guy Mito-Mourouad took the aircraft to an altitude of 11,000 meters and a speed of Mach 1.3. The 9.5-TONNE demonstrator stopped in 300 meters upon landing. Throughout the flight test program, the Rafale A performed numerous day and night takeoffs and landings aboard the carriers Clemenceau and Foch to investigate the pilot's field of view during carrier operations. It reached a speed of Mach 2 and a height of 13,000 meters. The demonstrator was initially powered by General Electric F404GE400 after burning turbofans from the F/A-18 Hornet instead of the Snecma M88, to reduce the risk that often comes with a first flight, and since the M88 was not considered sufficiently mature for the initial trials program, it was not until May 1990 when the M88 replaced the Port F404 in the demonstrator to enable the aircraft to reach Mach 1.4 and demonstrate supercruise, or sustained supersonic flight without use of afterburners. After 865 flights with 4 pilots, Rafale A was retired in January 1994. At the time of the Rafale A's maiden flight, France entered unsuccessful talks with Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands and Norway about a possible collaboration on the Rafale as a multinational project. At the time, Belgium was reportedly interested in the Rafale B. In June 1987, Prime Minister Jacques Chirac declared that the country would proceed with the $30 billion project. Subsequently, on the 21st of April 1988, the French government awarded Dassault a contract for 4 Rafale prototypes, 1 Rafale C, 2 Rafale MUS and 1 Rafale B. The first out of an expected 330 Rafales was scheduled to enter service in 1996. However, the fall of the Berlin Wall, which signaled the end of the Cold War as well as the need to reduce the national deficit, compelled the French government to drastically reduce its defense budget. The 1994 budget for the Rafale program was cut by some $340 million. This reduced the size of the Rafale orders, which Dassault and other companies involved claimed impeded production management and led to higher costs, and delayed the entry of the aircraft into service. The French Air Force was reorganized. The Mirage 5F was completely phased out and a total of 55 Mirage F1Cs were upgraded to a tactical fighter configuration, redesignated as Mirage F1 Court. The budget cuts prolonged the Rafale's development considerably. During the Rafale A flight test program, the French government in 1989 looked at the F/A-18 Hornet as a potential replacement for the rapidly aging F-8 Crusader, which had been serving since the 1950s. The French Navy entered talks regarding the purchase of second-hand F/A-18s with Australia, Canada and the US. After the decision was made not to upgrade the Crusaders, the US Navy agreed to supply 2 F/A-18s to the French Navy for interoperability testing aboard the French aircraft carrier Foch. The French government did not proceed with the purchase of the twin-engine fighter, testing to meet the various roles expected of the new aircraft. The Air Force required 2 variants, the single-seat Rafale C and the Rafale B. The prototype of the C model completed its first flight on the 19th of May 1991, signaling the start of a test program which primarily aimed to test the M88-2 engines, man-machine interface and weapons, and expand the flight envelope. Due to budget constraints, the second single-seat prototype was never built. The C-01 differed significantly from the Rafale A. Although superficially identical to the technology demonstrator, it was smaller and more stealthy due to the gold-coated canopy, a redesign of the fuselage fin joint, and the addition of radar-absorbent materials. This aircraft also saw extensive application of composite and other materials, which both reduced the radar cross-section and weight. Moreover, Dassault opted to reject variable engine inlets and a dedicated air brake, which lessens maintenance loads and saves weight. The B-01, the only prototype of the 2-seat B variant, made its maiden flight on the 30th of April 1993. It was 350 kilograms heavier than the single-seater, but carried 400 liters less fuel. The aircraft was used for weapons systems testing. Later it was tasked with validating weapons separation and, specifically, the carriage of heavy loads. The aircraft's typical loadout consisted of 2 2,000-liter external tanks, 2 Apache Scalp cruise missiles, in addition to 4 air-to-air missiles. The Navy, meanwhile, sought a carrier-based aircraft to supersede its fleet of aging 8-Ondard IPVMs, F-8P Crusaders and Super 8-Ondard Modernisé. While the Navy initially modernized the Crusaders, in the long term, the requirement was met with the navalized Rafale M. The M01, the naval prototype, first flew on the 12th of December 1991, followed by the second on the 8th of November 1993. Since France had no land-based catapult test facility, catapult trials were initially carried out during July-August 1992 and early the following year at NAS Lakehurst in New Jersey. The aircraft then carried out trials aboard the carrier Foch in April 1993. Flown by Dassault's chief test pilot Yves Hervé, MO2 made its maiden flight in November that year, while the first prototype completed the third round of testing at Lakehurst in November and December 1993. The Rafale M features a greatly reinforced undercarriage to cope with the additional stresses of naval landings, an arrestor hook, and jump strut nosewheel, which only extends during short takeoffs, including catapult launch. It also features a built-in ladder, carrier-based microwave landing system, and the new fin-tipped LMIA system for syncing the inertial navigation system to external equipment. Altogether, the naval modifications of the Rafale M increase its weight by 500 kilograms compared to other variants. The Rafale M retains about 95% commonality with Air Force variants, including, although unusual for land-based aircraft, being unable to fold its multi-spar wings to reduce storage space. The size constraints were offset by the introduction of Charles de Gaulle, France's first nuclear-powered carrier, which was considerably larger than previous carriers, Foch and Clemenceau. Production and upgrades. Initially, the Rafale B was to be just a trainer, but the Gulf War showed that a second crew member was invaluable on strike and reconnaissance missions. Therefore, in 1991 the Air Force switched its preferences towards the two-seater, announcing that the variant would constitute 60% of the Rafale fleet. The service originally envisaged taking delivery of 250 Rafales, but this was initially revised downwards to 234 aircraft, made up of 95 A and 139 B models, and later to 212 aircraft. The Navy, meanwhile, had 60 Rafales on order, down from 86 due to budget cuts. Of the 60, 25 were BM single-seaters and 35 two-seat-ends, though the two-seater was later cancelled. Production of the first aircraft series formally started in December 1992, but was suspended in November 1995 due to political and economic uncertainty. Production only resumed in January 1997 after the Ministry of Defense and Dassault agreed on a 48-aircraft production run with delivery between 2002 and 2007. A further order of 59 F-3 Rafales was announced in December 2004. In November 2009 the French government ordered an additional 60 aircraft to take total order for the French Air Force and Navy to 180. During the Rafale's design phase, Dassault took advantage of Dassault Systems CATIA, a three-dimensional computer-aided design, manufacture and engineering software suite that would become standard across the industry. CATIA enabled digitization and efficiency improvements throughout the Rafale program, as it implemented recently developed processes such as digital mock-up and product data management. It consisted of 15 GB databases of each of the Rafale's components, assisting with various aspects of the design, manufacture and through-life support. According to the French magazine Lucie Nouvelle, apart from several non-sensitive components sourced from the United States, the Rafale is manufactured almost entirely in France. Different elements are produced in numerous factories across the country, and final assembly takes place near Bordeaux-Mérignac Airport. For example, the flight control surfaces are fabricated in Haute-Savoie, the wings and avionics in Gironde, the center fuselage in Val d'Oise, and the engines in Essonne. Roughly 50% of the Rafale is produced by Dassault and the other half divided between two major partners, Thales and Safran, who rely on a network of 500 subcontractors. Altogether, the program employs 7,000 workers. As of 2012, the fabrication process of each fighter took 24 months, with an annual production rate of 11 aircraft. Deliveries of the Rafale's naval version were a high priority to replace the Navy's considerably aged F-8 Crusaders, and so the first production model for the French Navy undertook its first flight on 7 July 1999. The first naval deployment was in 2002 on board Charles de Gaulle. By March 2002, the aircraft carrier was stationed in the Gulf of Oman, where its complement of Rafales undertook training operations. In December 2004, the Air Force received its first 3 F-2 standard Rafale Bs at the Centre d'Expériences Aériennes Militaires at Mont-de-Marsan, where they were tasked to undertake operational evaluation and pilot conversion training. The total program cost, as of FY 2013, was around €45.9 billion, which translated to a unit program cost of approximately €160.5 million. This figure takes in account improved hardware of the F-3 standard, and which includes development costs over a period of 40 years, including inflation. The unit flyaway price as of 2010 was €101.1 million for the F-3 Plus version. In 2008, French officials were reportedly considering equipping the Rafale to launch miniaturized satellites. In 2011, upgrades under consideration included a software radio and satellite link, a new laser targeting pod, smaller bombs and enhancements to the aircraft's data fusion capacity. In July 2012, fleet-wide upgrades of the Rafale's battlefield communications and interoperability capabilities commenced. In January 2014, Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian announced that €1 billion is allocated towards the development of the F-3R standard. The standard will see the integration of the Meteor BVR missile, among other weapons and software updates. The standard is to be validated by 2018. The Rafale is planned to be the French Air Force's primary combat aircraft until 2040 or later.